Hey, I'm Katie Jones, and I am a certified Christian financial counselor. And here on my channel, we talk all about faith and finances. I love teaching all about the theology of money and how to better align our financial decisions with the heart of Jesus. But I also really enjoy bringing you super practical videos all about budgeting, saving, paying off debt, investing money. If that sounds like something you would love to learn more about, or you're curious on how to really manage your money in light of the gospel, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my videos, and go check out any of the other content that I have all about faith and finances. So in February 2023, my husband and I officially became foster parents. The process obviously started much longer before that. So, my research and everything along those lines. And what I found is that there's not a lot of content out there on kind of the financial aspect of fostering. But the way that this all kind of worked out financially for us was that we had so much support from our community and our family in order to be able to get into this mission field to help bring children into our homes and get to love on them and teach them about Jesus. Now, you don't get into foster care for the money. If you're looking for a side hustle or way to just bring in another income, fostering is just not something I would recommend for that. There are just so many easier and less stressful and less painful ways to make money these days. Just go Google anything that you can do from home. There's so many ways to just make money now. Fostering requires so much heart, so much of your soul, so much of your time and energy that if you are going into it just for the money, this is just not the gig for you. So go find another video. But for many of us, fostering starts with some kind of heart change. My husband and I, our journey kind of started with trying to start a family biologically, kind of the normal, natural way of doing things. And we were unsuccessful with that for about 3 years or so, a little bit more than 3 years. And it's a very painful process. And so if you've been going through infertility, I see you and I feel your pain and know where you're at. But because of that journey that God brought us through, we came to this place of wanting to become foster parents. We knew that this is the way that God was asking us to potentially start our family. Now, as it stands at this very moment, we are only a few months away from actually meeting our biological son, who is cooking in my tummy right now. And so it's been a very fascinating journey to get here. But because of the challenges that we faced starting our family biologically, I'm very thankful for them because it brought us to this place of opening our hearts and home to foster children. But you just don't do it for the money. So I just want to put it out there before we get into this financial side of it. Again, sharing a lot of the heart, but also this practical side. And so yeah, as we go along, if you have questions, feel free to let me know. To begin our financial journey through fostering, many people want to know, how much does it actually cost to get licensed? And typically the answer is nothing. No money at all is required to actually become a licensed foster care parent. There are different options on how to get licensed. You can either go through a private agency, or you can go directly with your county, which is like the government itself. Either way, generally it costs nothing. There are a few places out there that will potentially charge you a little bit for their training. There are potentially times where you may have to pay for things along the way of getting licensed, such as fingerprinting, or your background check, or your first aid / CPR class, which is also required. So occasionally your agency may not pay for those things, so those might be out-of-pocket costs. At the most, you will probably spend like a couple $100s on those things if you have to pay for them. Now, the next category is like, how much do you have to pay to kind of prepare your home for the kiddos? Now, this is an area that my husband and I did have to financially invest because, well, first off, we were actually living somewhere else. We were living in a small 2-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom place that was like a duplex. It was super tiny. And when God placed it on our hearts to become foster parents, we were like, well, it's just not really going to happen in this tiny little space. We just knew that wasn't going to be possible where we were at. So there was a financial cost to moving to the place that we live now. And then it also really depends on where you're at in your life right now, getting started to bringing kids in your home. Again, my husband and I were not parents before we had these foster kiddos, so we had no kid stuff, literally nothing, no toys, no just anything entertaining. But at the same time, there were other expenses. So even if you have kids and you have the stuff to just bring kiddos in, there may also be a cost associated with kind of like foster proofing your home. I don't know what else to call it, but I mean, for example, some other things that we did have to pay for in order to kind of get our home prepared were like we had to put basement or like the window covers on the window wells to the basement. So some of them didn't have covers on them already. And if it was anywhere outside in the yard that kids could potentially be playing, we needed to get covers for those. So we had to buy those covers. We also had to buy special locks for like our medicine cabinet and where we keep alcohol or where we keep cleaners. We had to buy a padlock for our outdoor lawn equipment, things like that. Basically anything dangerous we had to kind of lock up, which is just kind of like practical. Okay, that kind of makes sense for kiddos, but we legally have to have these things in place. And so it's not just like should we do this? It's like, okay, no, we have to in order to get licensed, because when they come and do kind of like your home inspection, they make sure that all of these things are in place. And so we had to get new trash cans. Obviously, again, like all of the sheets and bedding, toys, toiletries, and even just food, new types of food that kids were more into and not just adults. So those were all just some ideas of how we had to kind of update and prepare our home for the kiddos that were going to be here. Now, along the way, we have been extremely and abundantly blessed by our family and our friends and our church community who have helped to make this all possible. We had friends who helped like repair cabinets and caulk things and paint stuff and even just help supply so much of the stuff that we needed in order to prepare our homes for the kiddos. And so we've just been extremely blessed. And I think the thing that has been so surprising, or just one like that, something that we've just been so grateful for and excited about, is that there are so many people who have been more than excited to participate in this way, that want to help support the foster care community this way. And so they're looking for ways in which they can without necessarily bringing kids into their home. So if you are considering fostering, start talking to your community, whoever that is, your church, your friends, your family, your coworkers, and just mention it. And you might be surprised to see how others will want to support you. So what are the ongoing costs of fostering? If you're curious and want to go through and find out like an actual financial case study of having foster kids in your home, feel free to put it in the comments below and just say like, foster care case study or something like that. Or like, yeah, I want to know more about your finances. So let me know. I kind of started working on it. So if you are curious, I'd like to know, so that way I can go ahead and complete that for you. But we'll talk about food, gas, and utilities first. We Did definitely have like an increased budget for these things. Obviously, we went from feeding just 2 mouths to 5 mouths. And so just that increase alone meant that our grocery bill was going to go up. Same thing with like gas, like driving around, utilities for your home, more showers, more electricity being used because there's more people around. Now, just a quick tip, if you do foster kiddos who are 5 or under the age of 5, they do qualify for WIC, which stands for Women, Infants, and Children, which is a government assistance program to help you with the cost of groceries. So we actually do have a toddler in our home that does qualify for WIC, and we have a WIC card for her. So that actually has helped a lot for our groceries to keep it a little bit more manageable. So if you do have younger kiddos, just check in with your local like WIC government department kind of thing. Okay, in the category of clothes, we did originally spend a bit more on clothes when we initially had the kiddos join our home, but through the process, just as I've been learning things and researching more, now I've found that there are tons of like free and reduced ways to getting clothes for our kids, whether it is like a specific like foster closet or whether there are other government programs. I would say for the most part, there are a lot of ways to get free and reduced cost clothing. So you don't always have to like hit up Target or Walmart right away for those clothes. Same thing with toys and other just general supplies for the kiddos, such as like strollers or car seats that you might need if you have littler kids. But for toys, like our foster agency has done a phenomenal job with providing us with lots of things. I mean, they helped us find a stroller and some other pieces of furniture for our home, just toys and presents in general for birthdays and for Christmas. There are tons of ways that you can find a lot of these supplies for free, whether it is through your direct agency that you go through or through the county or maybe your kiddos GAL's office, which stands for Guardian Ad Litem. So talk to your caseworker or your social worker or whatever it's called in your state if you need supplies of any kind. Check around. I do have a link that I'll share in the description below for a list of discounted and free things that I have found for foster families across the United States. If you know of any more that I can add to that list and make it an even better resource, please let me know. But go check out that link so you can see what I have in your area as well as nationwide. Not only that, but we use Amazon Prime for a lot of stuff like other supplies and things. Amazon Prime offers like a discounted membership to foster families. If you're curious on how to get that, I did create a YouTube video on how to secure that discount. So go check that out. The link will be down below or above that you can click and check that out. Lots of people want to know, what do you do about doctor's visits and dental visits and eye exams and stuff like that? So when it comes to medical expenses, every child in the United States that is in the foster care system does have Medicaid. So Medicaid covers basically everything, except for braces because they're considered cosmetic. And so if your kiddo needs braces, there are programs out there if they dramatically need it. The only time Medicaid ever covers braces is if it's medically necessary. But all of their doctor's visits, whether it's just a general checkup or something more dramatic, like they're getting teeth pulled or spacers put in or an eye surgery, all things that we have dealt with in our home. Yes, Medicaid does cover all of those, and it's not always the easiest to work with Medicaid. In some cases, it's really, really easy, very simple, but in others, when you have further questions, it's very difficult, and you have to go through your county to ask questions and not directly through Medicaid, because it's a special program inside of Medicaid. It's a whole thing. But the good news is that you do not have to pay for their doctor's visits. Childcare is another expense that we get a lot of questions about. What do you do when your kiddo isn't at school? The great news is that every state offers some kind of childcare assistance program. So look up CCAP, it's CCAP, Child Care Assistance Program with your state after it. It does require going through a kind of extensive application process. I did start it before, but I was very confused with it. I personally did not end up finishing it, mostly because we ended up figuring out other childcare assistance kind of things, or we didn't actually need it anymore. But the CCAP program typically can pay for whether it is like a daycare for a younger kiddo or after school programs for children who are in elementary school. So before and after school programs. So we did learn that at our kiddos' elementary school that their after school program did accept it. With our toddler, she was doing daycare, but now she's in like a therapeutic school. So she no longer needs the like child care assistance program. But also we did end up finding, so when the toddler was in a daycare kind of early education program, she actually received a really awesome foster care like scholarship discount at her daycare. And so that actually made it super duper affordable at that specific place. The reason that educational program or that daycare did that was because they didn't accept CCAP in general. So it is also a part of the process. You can apply for CCAP, but then you need to find places that actually accept the CCAP assistance program. So I've actually found that when it comes to extracurricular activities or camps, anything along those lines, that the name of the game is to just ask. Ask people if they offer any kind of assistance or scholarship for foster kiddos or for foster families in general, and you would be so surprised at how many places actually offer discounts and scholarships and even potentially offering things totally for free. And so we have received things like free summer camp and free, or not free, but discounted gym memberships so that we can bring them to the pool, as well as things like the Museums for All program. So if you aren't familiar with that, I'll also share a link to that in the description below. Now, even though there are tons of ways to reduce your costs, like to find things that are more affordable for your foster kiddos, the question is inevitable, is that how much will you exactly expect to receive as a stipend for the kiddos that you have. Now, it is dependent on where you live as well as how old the kids are. Now, the stipend is per diem, which means you get paid per day. I do have a link that has most of the stipend amounts for each state. Not every single one of them is included in this website, but go check out the website in the link in the description below. I'll just label it as like foster care stipend amounts, and you can check to see if your state has the amount reported. Otherwise, to find it, it's going to just take a lot of digging. It may require just finding a friend or someone else in your area who is a current foster parent in order to ask the question, just how much is it per day for each kiddo and stuff like that, just so you can understand and know what that amount is. Again, we don't go into fostering for the stipend, but it does mean something when you can receive a stipend to help pay for the change in expenses when a kiddo is joining your home. Now, when exactly do you receive the stipend for your foster kiddos? The stipend is per diem, which means per day. So you will receive a specific stipend for the amount of days per month that a kiddo is in your home. So there are placements that last 24 hours or a week or several months or several years. And so each month is calculated on a per day basis. And you may actually have multiple different kiddos that come in and out of your home. And so each kiddo is calculated per day by their age for whatever that stipend amount is in your state. So in Colorado, and I think pretty much every other state, but don't quote me on that, the daily stipend gets dispersed to you. So you get paid that amount at the end of the next month. So I'm going to give you an example so you can see exactly how this works. So if you start fostering on March 20th, you will technically not get paid until the very end of April, which is the next month. And you will get paid for, your disbursement will be for the amount of days that you actually had the kiddo in your home for the month of March, not April at all. And so with this example of coming in your home on the 20th, that would be 12 days for the month of March that you had them in your home. Then in April, again, the very end of April, you will receive that stipend amount, that per day amount for the 12 days that you had them in March. So that will come on, I think the last day in April is the 30th. So you can do the math, $42.02 per day for a younger kiddo times 12. So that's kind of how the stipend works in a nutshell. Again, it's really easy to, you start to see it once you become a foster parent, but look it up in your area. It may be slightly different. Obviously, the amount per day will be different. So check out that link that I do have, and somebody has kind of reported on most of the states and what the stipend is. Now, there are some tax benefits for being a foster parent. The daily stipend, for example, that you receive is not taxable. So it's not taxable income. You don't have to pay taxes on that amount that you receive every single month, which is really great. So that's tax benefit number one. Tax benefit number two is that I think it's in every state as well. Again, I'm not a tax expert, so if you need to talk to your accountant or another just tax attorney or something in your area to know the specifics. But kiddos who have been in your care for more than half of the year can be claimed as a dependent. And so that can be really beneficial as well. The hiccup that I have found, and we have not actually filed our taxes yet with foster kiddos, so I don't know exactly the process just yet. But the hiccup that I have read online on just forums and in Facebook and things like that you can potentially run into is if the biological parent of the child also claims that kiddo on their taxes as a dependent. The way that they've read that people have kind of tried to make sure that doesn't happen is that they try to file their taxes immediately when they can. So it's kind of almost like first come, first serve. But if it does come down to it and you technically have had them in your care longer than their biological parents, you can talk to your county, your caseworker or social worker, and talk to them about how to actually be able to do that. It might take a little bit of a legal process to do that, but it could be beneficial if you're looking for those tax benefits. So you can check on that. And then tax benefit number 3, again, check with your local tax people because there oftentimes are specific tax benefits per state. So here in Colorado, we actually have a really cool tax credit that you can receive when you purchase a new vehicle. So for example, we just purchased a new vehicle ourselves that we use day to day, literally every day, to cart our kiddos around. So if the car is used to kind of drive those foster children around, you can claim it as a special tax credit. And again, we have not gone through this process, but we have had friends who have, and they said that on something like TurboTax, there's actually a question about it. So it should be fairly simple and straightforward to do that. But that's here in Colorado specific. Your state might have something also similar to that. If you are curious on that Colorado one, let me know. I can drop a link to the form. So at the end of the day, yes, your expenses can increase when you bring foster kiddos into your home, but at the same time, don't let the financial decision of this stop you from welcoming in kiddos into your lives. Because if God really wants you to become a foster parent, He is going to make a way for you and your family to be able to do that. I am, again, trying to work on doing a specific case study on how our expenses have changed this past year from, being just 2 people to opening our home to foster kiddos. So if you're curious on that case study, drop a comment down below just saying, foster care case study, and I will be sure to finish up that piece of content for you so you can see exactly how things have changed for us, because I have documented every last penny that we have spent over the past year. If finances is a part of your decision-making process, please don't let it scare you, because there really are so many resources out there, and I'd love to help connect you with any resource that you might potentially need, no matter where you're at, whether you're here in Colorado, because I do know lots here in the Denver metro area, or whether you are somewhere else in the United States. I would still love to help you find the resources that you need to make it possible. So feel free to ask more questions as they come. Last thing before I go is, if you are a foster parent, I want to say thank you by offering you a 15% discount on all of my budget spreadsheets that I sell on Etsy. So if you are looking for a new way to budget or need new budget spreadsheets or just getting started budgeting, please check those out. I have tons of YouTube videos on how to actually specifically use those budget spreadsheets. I have not created any on how I actually budget for our foster kiddos. I actually have a whole special spreadsheet keeping track of it. And again, if I do that case study for you, you'll get to see a little bit of the ins and outs on how I do that. But if you're looking for a kind of foster specific budget, I would be more than happy to share with you more on that in the future. So feel free to let me know in the comments. That is it for today. If you found this video helpful, feel free to give it a like. It really does help me know that I'm producing good content that's helpful for you. It also helps YouTube know to share it with other people who are looking for similar content. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you are looking for more faith and finance related videos too. I'd love to have you around. All right. Well, I hope to see you around next time. Bye.